I am at the corner of 11th Street and Harrison Avenue, where this fire behind me has been going since just after 6:30 Friday evening. Dozens of crews from the Rockford Fire Department are on scene to try to contain this blaze. When Lana McCants first heard about the home explosion on 15th Avenue in Rockford, she was worried it was the Veterans Drop-In Center where she works. She soon found out it was a nearby home. A 4-hour walk kicked off Friday afternoon at 3. Veterans will rotate in 1-hour shifts until Saturday afternoon. And participants tell me while they may have to endure the night's cold, it's a small price to pay to honor other veterans who sacrificed so much. Rockford, Loves Park, and McChesney Park were 3 of the top competitive housing markets in Illinois in September. And Realtor Bonnie Moore says that is just one reason why more Chicago area residents are moving to the Forest City to find housing, even in retirement. Another way cities like Rockford can get closer to solving homelessness is by keeping track of people who experience homelessness and then using that data to see if numbers are going to go up or down on a monthly basis. Sheriff Caruana understands that people want to have fun during Halloween, but egging and TPing people's houses is not the way to go. The Rockford Fire Chief Michelle Panko tells me that there was a partial building collapse on the north side of the building and a roof collapse on another section of the building. This is a vacated building with a red X on it from the city. The structure stretches from 11th Street about 1.5 miles to the west. Crews are working on the west side to keep it contained, according to the fire chief. I did drive around the area to try and get a closer look at the flames, but Rockford Police and the fire department have blocked off the area. Chief Panko adds that this was a vacant building and there was no one inside at the time of the fire. There are no injuries to first responders nor civilians at this time.
It rattled the house, the windows. I mean, I could actually feel it.
Rockford resident Larry Funk sat in his living room watching TV when he heard an explosion.
It was significant enough that it woke my 2 Dobermans up, and they had to go inspect the yard.
Funk would discover the blast came from a home in the 800 block of 15th Avenue in Rockford, more than 3 miles away from it.
As a retired carpenter, I've been around some explosives where they were preparing ground for homes. Last night was louder than that.
Now crews clean up the debris left by the explosion, which even damaged the windows of surrounding homes.
That stuff can be replaced. We humans, we can't be replaced. But the neighborhood's gonna be okay because we already take care of each other.
The exact cause is under investigation, though authorities believe it could be linked to a gas leak. Fire prevention experts urge residents to have a pro check out your utilities to prevent this from happening in your home.
The additives that are put into those gases, they go away after a while, so it's important to make sure you get that addressed right away.
To keep residents safe, ComEd de-energizes the area so people don't have to worry about a down power line.
We want our employees to be safe. We want the citizens to be safe. Just stay away from it and take the safe route.
Working for you in Rockford, Anthony Ferretti, 23 News.
At first I thought this was typical of Hispanic families, typical of Catholic families, but then I realized that wasn't the case.
Pamela Lopez Fettis is one of millions of domestic violence survivors.
My life changed in June of 1999 when my then boyfriend and the father to my 2 children attempted to take my life.
But Pamela says her experiences with domestic violence started years prior when her dad abused her and her mom. She thought then her experience with domestic violence was over, but it wasn't.
I was reassuring him that everything was going to be okay, that Daddy was going to leave. And all of a sudden, I couldn't breathe.
Pamela's boyfriend choked her with her child in her arms.
All I can think about was how I was going to fall, how I was going to be able to protect my child in my arms. I felt scared.
This is one reason why the 17th Judicial Circuit Family Violence Coordinating Council shines a light on domestic violence.
There's people that care about survivors of domestic violence that want to help them through the system.
Judge Jenny Clifford says there are different groups to deal with different populations, but each person is treated in their own way.
All of these groups in probation do work with survivors and also with offenders to try to give them the therapy they need to make sure they don't keep offending.
One retired counselor says the most important thing for survivors is to find someone you can trust.
The most important thing is listening, being aware of resources that are available to help them rebuild their lives and heal.
We are here to shed a light in the dark room of bigotry and prejudice against Jews.
Free Palestine! Free Palestine!
Roughly 3 weeks after Hamas's deadly attacks on Israel, local residents invested in both sides of the conflict say enough is enough.
We the people don't stand for what's happening in Gaza, and we don't support our government when they say they don't want a ceasefire.
Sarah Salem organized a peaceful protest Friday evening in support of the Palestinian people. Thousands have died in the Gaza Strip with limited access to food, water, and fuel during Israel's counterattacks. She says she has family overseas and is worried for their safety.
My family and my grandparents were displaced from their homes. They were subject to brutal occupation, and it's just changed the entire course of my life.
Meanwhile, dozens of local residents in support of Israel and its civilians also showed up. One person who didn't want to be identified says they have family in Israel.
It's my country, and I would like them to be safe and have a world peace, but we have to protect ourselves.
They say it was important for them to show up Friday evening to share their perspective on the situation.
When something like this, like October 7 happened, there's no way to deny it. And we're here to make sure, as a Jewish voice, that if we are quiet, the history will return.
Working for you in Rockford, Anthony Ferretti, 23 News.
When I turned 14, I became an official member of the Salvation Army, and I get emotional thinking about it.
Corps Sergeant Major Edward Higgins has been ringing bells for more than 6 decades. He felt the need to give back given the Salvation Army's impact on him.
My family was a recipient of the Christmas Kettle. Christmas toys, Christmas food baskets, started when I was 5 years old.
With less than a week until the end of the Red Kettle campaign, local donations are ahead of where they were at this point last year, but they need more volunteers.
Some of our older volunteers are aging out, and especially going out in cold weather and be able to stand on their feet. So we need to recruit more younger volunteers.
We've been a little slow on volunteers, but each week it seems like more people are signing up.
Major Monty Wandling says they have 6 days to raise around $40,000 to meet its $182,500 goal. Even with inflation taking a toll on people's wallets, Wandling says he is optimistic they will reach this number.
Even though it might hurt a little more to give this year, people are still very generous and want to make sure that people who are in need can come to the Salvation Army and be helped.
One night only, a special event, this reunion.
Starting in 1994, for 3 nights the second week of December, J.R. Sullivan staged Hometown Holiday to share the spirit of the season. It ended in 2019, but following a global shutdown, Sullivan says he missed the memorable production.
I got a lot of calls and letters asking would I consider coming back to do the show. We thought it over, we talked it over as a company and said, sure, we'll do it.
And that yes turned into Hometown Holiday Redux. The show has a new storyline and features a cast of regional actors and musicians, including Miles Nielsen.
I'm excited to get back. They're such pros that brings my game to a higher level when I'm around them.
They scheduled it for just one night, Friday, December 8th at the Nordlof Center. But tickets sold out fast, so organizers opened an afternoon dress rehearsal for guests. They'll rehearse privately until the week of the show.
The people that are coming to see the matinee show, you're going to see all the bloopers and all the magic. You're going to get it all in that one.
Cast members say they can't wait to see the theater filled with residents as they sing holiday cheer.
There's some things that you're like, wow, that wasn't how we rehearsed it, but it worked out. So that's a testament to just being good at your craft.
This is one of these shows that reminds us that gathering and celebrating is important together. And that's what we represent, that's what we promote, that's what we stand for, and that's what we hope to deliver every year.
Working for you in Rockford, Anthony Ferretti, 23 News.